welcome back to EGR Performance. Anybody else losing their minds in quarantine? I've been watching way too much Netflix, so we're gonna put a 0 to 4 swing arm from Evil Swingarms on Mike's ZX10R as Evan falls over that stool. So for those of you that don't already know, 0 on the Evil Swingarms is measured from the maximum wheelbase of the stock swing arm, not the factory placement of the axle. Since the bike's already on stands, we're gonna get Evan in here to tear this thing apart, starting with the rear wheel.
All right, so I'm starting with the cotter pin, which is pretty self-explanatory. Bend the tabs, pull it out, almost fall over in the process. I already backed off the jam nuts. There's no chain on this bike because I was in the process of just tearing into it. The whole bike is in shambles at the moment. I'm doing a lot of work to it. Our plan is pull the wheel and tire off, then obviously remove all the bolts, swap the swing arm. Once we have the Evil arm on it, I'm going to remove these 4 bolts in the brake because we're also doing a rear brake delete. I got to put some shims behind those to space it out so the wheel speed sensor can read the speed ring. And I also have to chop up this bracket so it's not this big ugly mess. So now that the cotter pin's out, I'm going to remove this nut, push the axle through, and then remove the wheel. That felt like factory 100 foot-pounds. So what did everybody think of Katie's intro today? How'd she do for her first video where she actually spoke for more than 2 words? Good, bad? Comment below. Sensors out of the way. Get it completely out of the way. This is our factory wheel and tire. All right, so now we're going to remove the 4 bolts. There's already one I removed here from the wheel to remove the rotor. Come back to that one. Red Loctite. Now what I recommend doing before you try and rethread those is, because that is currently loaded up with Loctite, run a tap through it. All right, now that we got the threads cleaned out, the bolts cleaned of any Loctite, I've got some blue Loctite here. Comes factory with red Loctite on the bolts. You just saw me take them out. This is a 200 foot-pound gun on the impact, and it took 200 foot-pounds to get those bolts out. And they're very small bolts. So I put a little bit of blue Loctite on them. That's not a little, that's a lot. So we steal some. I use 3 washers to shim the speed ring. You can have shims made if you want, but you don't need to. Washers work perfectly fine. Flip it around. Next step, take the rear sprocket off. We decided to go with a steel sprocket because he is 240 pounds. So the only difference between the stock sprocket and this one is this is a 525, this is a 520. We are going with an EK3D 520Z chain, not the GP, because of his weight. Want a little more tensile strength for a chain. And the 520Z chain will be perfectly fine for his weight roll racing, I promise. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the aftermarket one's heavier. Let's find out. All right, so we're gonna weigh the OEM one now. Is that 1590, 1588?
I know
So
there's a glare.
1.588 pounds. This is definitely heavier. Well, 1.666. It's not a good sign.
He's getting an evil swing arm, right?
Yes.
Well, there we go. It works.
Evil swing arm. That's on the scale.
And the sprocket weighs 666.
So that should be a bit of a reason for some of you guys who chase weight to always go with an aluminum sprocket over a steel one. The factory 525 sprocket is lighter than the Vortex steel 520 sprocket.
What was that one?
1.590.
Oh, too bad.
This wheel needs to be cleaned. I will probably give it a quick cleaning after the bike is together. We're gonna go 45 foot-pounds on that. All right, finished with the rear wheel for now. I do believe he's gonna be sending me some tires, so when the tire comes in, I'm gonna clean the wheel up so it doesn't look like that. But for now, we're doing the dirty stuff. Next step, we're gonna secure a jack under the frame. Come over here, Miss Katie. Remove this nut here. Come around this side now. We have to remove this spanner socket. There's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 down here.
Can you point to him again?
1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one is down here. We're gonna remove all that. We're gonna remove the rear lowering link assembly. The shock is gonna stay in the bike. And then we're gonna remove the pivot shaft from the frame of the bike, slide the swing arm out, put the new swing arm in, pivot shaft in, and reverse the order of that. Alright, on the stock swing arm, you have to remove this little sleeve and the 2 grommets. I already removed one of them. Pop these out. You're going to reuse these for the Eagle swing arm. I'll clean up a little bit. And that is all you're going to reuse of the OEM equipment. All right, now we're gonna put the Evil adjustment blocks in the swing arm here. We're gonna put the wheel back on the way it is now.
What are you setting it as?
I haven't decided because we haven't talked about that yet. I'll probably go all the way back.
So would that be 4?
That is correct. Now this is obviously isn't going to hang like that. We're going to cut that. This is just a quick test fitment here. I'm not torquing that right now, obviously, because it's all coming back flat, as we're going to be putting tires on the bike as well. There's not a whole lot to it. I did, in case you didn't notice, most of the brake assembly was already removed out of this bike because I had done that off camera prior to this. I basically just set it up so I could actually just swap the swing arm. right now, bring the camera over here, kid. There's nowhere you should see light through here because as you lower it, this cartridge is going to come down and this bracket's going to go up, so it's going to start kissing. If you don't run the Brox link, which comes with new brackets that are more open right here, you'll have to Dremel this out a little bit. So I'm going to get with him and see what he wants to do. If this is the height he wants it at, then honestly this is fine. He doesn't have to do anything. But this will always, when you put weight on the bike, that will separate. That's basically a swing arm install.
So in comparison, you have this minimal distance as opposed to yours?
Yes, and mine is actually a lot lower in the back already. That is TBN's lowering link right there. Same shock, same swing arm, same frame, everything's the same. Just a Brox lowering link kit versus, I believe this is the Soupy's one, which is just the link itself. These are the OEM brackets. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get with the owner of the bike and we're going to discuss what he wants for a wheelbase of the bike. Like I said earlier, or she said earlier, sorry, this is a 0 to 4 arm. So I'm thinking we're probably going to go all the way back. He's a big guy, so we're not going to have to worry about this bike spinning. Not that it should really spin at 4 inches over, but for the hell of it, I'd rather see him get some wheelbase so the bike is a little more well-rounded. Katie, do you have any points you would like to add or any questions? Give me the camera and I'll focus to you.
No, where's the rest of it? What are you doing?
It's all secret, I can't say.
Oh.
But it may or may not involve some airbox modification and other things that are happening.
So that concludes the install of an Evil swing arm on a ZX10R. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Come get lost with me.